Time to welcome everyone to our first meeting of the year. And before we get started, I don't think that Councilman Dones is on the meeting yet. He may join us a bit later, but
I'm here, Mayor.
Oh, you are? Okay, thank you, David. I'd like to express on behalf of the city, our condolences to you and your family on the loss of your brother, Danny, and appreciate you being on the meeting, but I know it's a time for you to be with your family as well. So we appreciate you joining us, but we understand and just hope you all get through all this week okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Let's move on then. This evening, Dylan Durbin is going to be filling in for Jessica Atro, our assistant city engineer. And our first order of business is a request for service. It's actually an extension off of Pineview, and I'll let Dylan speak to that request.
Yes, Mayor. So this is a service request to extend water and sewer utilities for an apartment complex off of Pineview Drive there off of Bloomfield Road. I think they're proposing about 76 units. They're going to have to extend the water and sewer there to serve those units. I think it's about 1,200 feet of sewer main and 1,300 feet of water main there to serve that. So, and we have the capability and the service to accept those utilities, provided that they meet all Division of Water and city standards.
All right, and then and they've the design meets all our specifications as well, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Dylan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who is GR Holdings?
That is, I know CDF Builders and Kyle Riggs are a part of that.
Right. I think it's Kyle Riggs and another partner. I don't have the. That's who it is, and they've owned this track for a while, and they got slowed down last year due to COVID. Of course, this year I think they're ready to get moving on it. So, is there any other questions on this?
Mayor, exactly where is that? Because I've racked my brain trying to figure out where Pineview Drive is.
It's just past Caney Fork on the right, out Bloomfield Road, and there's already it dead ends. There's apartments and houses behind the barbecue place, the street right next to it.
Sure. Okay. Right. Thank you.
That's where that is. So this will be an extension of the street as well as the water and sewer infrastructure and serve all those apartments.
Okay.
That are planned. If there's no other questions, then I would ask for a motion to approve the request for Pineview Apartments to be accepted into our sewer and water services.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Shekels. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Williams. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Like sign. All right, we'll move on then. Thank you. Motion is passed. Dylan, we'll go into, we have a change order on our new public works building going up on Paget Drive there.
Yeah, so we've known this change order was coming for a while. Basically, in the electrical plans on the bid set, the electrical feeds were left off for the radiant heat and the exhaust fans. So in order to, not delay the bidding process, because we found out right before there was time to issue an addendum, we decided we would address that after we selected a contractor and issued a change order. So this price, the $3,671.29 is BCD's price to make those electrical changes.
Right, I think if I recall, you and Jessica told me that a lot of the contractors spotted this on the bid package related to the electrical, and it was just an oversight on the bid specs, I think, if that's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Anyone have any other questions of Dylan on this? Okay, with no other questions, I would ask for a motion. This is a legitimate change order due to the fact that it was left off the bid specs. So I'd ask for a motion to approve the change order as requested.
So move, Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilman Dones. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Hibbs. Any other discussion?
Mayor, I have a quick question, please.
All right.
Just to educate me, what does sub markup and GC markup mean?
I'll let Dylan answer, but I think I know the answer, but I'll let Dylan or David be sure.
I know the answer.
Yeah, so that's just the markup, and basically that's standard. They have to write that down during the bid when they submit that bid. But the like the 10-5, it's 10% overhead, 5% profit is where that number comes from.
That's on the general contractor part, right? And then
Yes, and then the sub markup would be the 5% overhead and 5% profit.
And who is the sub in this case?
I believe that is Richard's Electrical Supply, it looks like.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
good question, Betty.
Betty, you just sell those houses. You don't build them, do you?
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, motion's carried. Thank you. Dylan, still on the hot seat here. Got a change order for our peracetic acid disinfection system improvements.
Yeah, so this is for the PAA improvements at the wastewater treatment plants. The feeds for that chemical are all stainless steel pipe. And originally the engineer had those fittings for the stainless steel pipe as threaded fittings and connections. And after the PAA, the chemical manufacturer visited the site, they recommended that we actually use welded fittings rather than threaded fittings, just for longevity and safety. And so that's what this price includes here, the $3,219.68. And the contractor and engineer also recommended this change, just to get a better overall product in the end.
Anyone have any other questions of Dylan on this? I guess my question would only be, I'm assuming these are pretty large fittings and for quite a large amount of pipe that's being extended.
Yeah, it is a decent amount of pipe, yes.
Right.
And your labor's most of that.
Correct, yes.
Start.
Mm-hmm.
Their original specs just kind of missed that, or
I guess so, and I think maybe they, after talking to the actual PAA, the chemical manufacturer, I think maybe they changed their mind on, just on using the weld connections versus the threaded connections. So.
And the stainless steel is a lot more expensive to work with, obviously, than just regular pipe, iron pipe, and so forth.
Yeah, but this is a dangerous chemical, so it's got to stand up to that also. So.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Joe. Could I get if there's no other questions of Dylan, could I get a motion then to approve this change order submitted by Pace Contracting for $3,219.68 for the change that's requested on the parasitic acid improvements?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
All right, motion by Councilman Buckman. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
All right, we have a second by Councilman Williams. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? All right, and then the last, on contracts and proposals, we have a proposal to do our risk and resiliency assessment and emergency response plan, development services, and Dylan and I think Greg have been involved with this as well. If you'd like to kind of talk through this, I know it is being recommended that HDR be awarded this contract, and we have an extensive amount of experience with HDR, and so I'll let Dylan talk about that.
Yeah, that's correct. And basically, just to give a brief background of where this comes from. So the America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 sort of made this a requirement that all water companies have this risk and resiliency assessment and emergency services plan, or response plan, sorry. And basically what that does is it looks, at the overall water system, from the source of the water to the treatment to distribution to finances, communication, and all that, and looks at the risk. And then once they do that risk assessment, they kind of turn that into an emergency response plan. And just from that act, just to stay in compliance, they have certain deadlines that you have to meet for both of these plans. With the population that we serve, we have to get the risk assessment completed before July 1st of this year, and the emergency response plan done by December 31st of this year. And we are recommending HDR to provide these services for us. They've done several of these, including some, cities pretty close to us, Danville, Owensboro. They've done Frankfurt, Glasgow, so they have done several of these. And I don't know if you guys have looked at this proposal, but the price that's included, the $40,000, just includes the actual risk assessment. And from my understanding, the emergency response plan and that cost sort of comes after they get that risk assessment done to see kind of what's needed for that emergency plan.
So there'll be two phases then of this, Dylan, is that correct?
That's correct, yes. And this one is just in this fiscal year, the actual risk assessment. And HDR has agreed to get that done, before that deadline.
But we do have it, we have to have it completed by December 31st, 2021, correct?
Correct, yes. And the actual risk assessment has to be completed before July 1st of this year. And then the emergency response plan has to be completed before December 31st.
Okay. So it's my understanding there's money in the budget for this on this current budget year.
Yes, yes.
We knew this was coming.
Yes, yes.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions of Dylan on this proposal? HDR has, currently been involved with a lot of our sewer work and so forth. So we're very familiar with them. So they're definitely qualified to do this work. Okay, if there's no other questions of Dylan, I would ask for a motion to approve the proposal from HDR Engineering and for this risk and resiliency assessment and emergency response plan development services.
So move, Mayor.
And the contract would be for $40,000. All right, we have a motion then by Councilman Hibbs. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
And a second by Councilman Jones. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Dylan. You had a lot to go over there tonight. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. We'll move on then to an update from a city attorney on one of our historic review board COAs, Bullets Winery and Bistro. Oh, and before I get any further, I should have announced at the start of the meeting that we will be going into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.8101C for discussions of a proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of a public agency. So I should have made that announcement earlier, but definitely wanted to make it before this agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to refresh the council's recollection a little bit. You may recall that this issue with the exterior mounted exhaust fan ductwork on Bullets Bistro came before the council at the September 22nd meeting. It was one where it was one that you all actually had to make the decision because it had come with no recommendation from the Historic Review Board. And Mr. May attended that hearing with his attorney and was given until December 21st to present plans of how he intended to install that ductwork in the interior of that building. And those were to be presented to either me or to Rashay Jennings, the Historic Preservation Coordinator. And then from there, he had an additional 6 months with the last date for work to be completed, June 22nd, 2021, to actually complete that work. And so we did not receive any plans from Mr. May by December 21st. I contacted him and his attorney to find out what their intentions were. And we have not received any plans as of now as to how they intend to move the ductwork into the interior of that building, which was the condition placed on his application at that time. And I think that we're gonna, I believe we'll take this up further and discuss how we want to proceed in executive session.
Yeah, we just wanted to, give an update on that because that meeting was, attended by a number of people and there was a lot of discussion and we, I think, came to a fair resolution, but pretty simple conditions. Certainly a fair amount of time provided, 3 months on getting the plans drawn up and 6 months to complete them, but it hasn't come into fruition at this point. So we will be taking that up in a later part of this meeting.
Apologize, Mayor.
Oh, well, that's okay. It seemed like a fair way to resolve the issue at that time, but we'll have to probably do something else. But we'll get back to that later this evening. All right. Everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our December 22nd meeting. We had 5 Tuesdays, I think, in December. That's why it's been a while since we got together. So if no additions or changes, we'll just approve them by unanimous consent. All right. The next item is our financial report. We don't really have the formal report on December's numbers yet, but I would like for Aaron Bowles just to give us an update on phase 3 of our grant program for local businesses.
Yeah, Mayor, that phase 3 applications concluded December 31st. We received 30 total applications that were approved, 25 restaurants or bars and 5 gyms, gym type facilities were approved. Grants were about between $1,000 and $3,000 per applicant, with the total amount of $76,000 being granted this round. And all this is being funded through the CARES Act.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Like I say, it was about what Aaron had predicted in looking at the number of eligible businesses who could apply prior to your all's approval, and it was almost to the exact number of requests. And we did take into consideration, those that had already been approved for either one or first round or second round or both. And then now for the third round, and those that had not had any previous grants from the city or counties, grant phases 1 and 2, and then also a number of them had applied for and received approval for state grants as well. So we took a lot of that into consideration in deciding how to allocate the money as best we could. Any other questions of Aaron on that? And I think, as we've said before, we'll spend some time at our next meeting and, talking about where we are at the midpoint in this current budget year and how we have performed both from the revenue side of things and the expense side of things. And Aaron will be making that presentation at our next meeting here in January. And then we'll have any recommendations we think on any changes we might need to make here at the midpoint budget-wise to make sure we continue to operate within budget. So we'll have that information for you all at our next meeting. Aaron, anything else to add to that at this point?
No, that was it. I've got, just follow up on that, the budget talk. I've sent out all the general fund budget amendments, recommendations to all the department heads. So we're going to kind of look through those. And then I'll be getting with the mayor to discuss those in further detail. Combined utilities, I'll have all of those departments done hopefully by end of day tomorrow. So I got a little bit behind. We had our auditors in here kind of doing a last minute go around with our FY20 audit last week. So I was kind of tied up getting December's financials completed, but that audit's on track. Hopefully, I need to talk to them, but hopefully we can get that presented maybe the next meeting or the first meeting in February. So.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other questions for Aaron? If not, we'll move on then to reports of staff and committees, and I'm going to have Nahom Agil speak to our cable retransmission agreements. That's our 3-year agreements that we have to work out with the major networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox, and some of their affiliates. So that's always at the end of the year. And we, Aaron and I and Eric and Jeff Mills worked on this. Aaron did all the heavy lifting, or a whole lot of there. Nahom did all the most of the heavy lifting. And so I'll let Nahom speak to how we came to our final agreement for the next 3 years for these networks and their affiliates.
Thank you, Mayor. So we completed the agreements with all the local networks. 2 of these networks were now through the NCTC, NBC and ABC were negotiated by the NCTC. NCTC is basically a body that negotiates a lot of our contracts for some of the channels on our expanded basic lineup. So we, the city, every 3 years has to negotiate with the local broadcasters, and historically this rates usually have increased, and this year is not very different from that. The mayor and I, talking to the ones that we had to negotiate directly, have been working with and trying to respond to their 200% increased requests. And so that was that has come down significantly. And of course, and NCTC negotiating for 300 other providers have done their best to get these rates as low as they can. And it's always better to be able to negotiate as a group as opposed to individually. That said, those agreements are complete, but they do increase our wholesale cost for the next basically these agreements are 3 years, and so they have incremental rates built into them. So our basic rates that basically is majority of the off-air channels will be we're proposing to go up at $6.71, and our expanded basic, which is regular non-off-air contracts, which have increases built into them, that would be going up to $3.24 for a total of $9.95. So this is about 12.3% increase from our current rate and wholesale. These are all costs that are, of course, passed through as our wholesale cost goes up, that we have to pass on to the customers. But overall, the trend, the providers went down. The mayor had them go down faster than we were going up, and so that's we've gotten the best rate that we can provide, we feel.
Yes, so Nahum, that will be effective, excuse me, February 1st.
Yes. Be February 1st, 2021.
And we'll have to, I guess, approve this evening, or is that needed to be approved through the cable committee first?
The ordinance already allows for these kinds of increases, which are passed through costs.
Right.
And so we just notify them. We're just required by the FCC to notify the customers 30 days before the actual increase. And so we'll be doing that with their mailers.
Okay. As Nahum said, this year was probably, this is the third time I've been through this. This is probably the steepest amount of requests for increases we've ever probably experienced, at least on the 3 that I've dealt with. And it's just the nature of the market right now, as you might expect. I'll use auto dealers as an example, because that's something I'm familiar with. They call it tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And tier 1 is your manufacturer's advertising. Tier 2 is your local advertising groups advertising, and tier 3 is individual dealers. And throughout almost all retail sectors, there has been a major reduction in ad revenue by these networks over the last several years, primarily as a result of social media. So when they lose their ad revenue, the one place they can make up the difference, as they are for-profit operations, is on their wholesale rates they charge to providers like us and to the subscribers. So the original requests for increase were just almost ridiculous. One provider started out with a 200% increase over current rates. Another one was at like 186% and so forth. That's where they started from. But we worked really hard, and we were able to, at the end of the day, we were able to get them to go down a larger percentile than the city and our customers will have to pay in an increase. I guess that's, at the end of the day, I feel like that was a win for us and our subscribers, but that's the market we're dealing with these networks right now. These major networks, is they are, their traditional revenue streams have been changed significantly. And that also forced them to increase these lesser affiliates. Some of those we didn't even have to pay for them in the past, but now they've got cost of 20 cents a month, 10 cents a month, things like that we used to not have to even deal with, but and some even higher than that, just depending on the affiliate. So that was the reality of what this last negotiation, but the good news is we were able to start on it a little sooner this year, so we weren't hammering out agreements on December 31st. It was probably more like December 22nd. But anyway, that's the results that Nahom just covered with you. So as I said, this is a pass through. There's no profits for us operationally. This is just passing through the cost of our rates per subscriber that's being charged to us. Does anyone have any questions of Nahom on this?
You really need some negotiating skills to deal with these people. Glad you were dealing with them, Dick.
Well, I appreciate that, but you know, the other side of this is we want to provide a quality product to our consumers, and there's still a huge number of people who want to have the ability to, see NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. So it would be a horrible situation to have to go dark with one of those providers and not be able to give those choices to our subscribers. So we wanted to, continue to be able to provide those 4 networks as well as their affiliates. So we got that done, and a 12% increase from where we were is I don't think too unreasonable, and the dollar total is I think within most people's budgets. But we also have made some changes on some of that over the last year, trying to make it more affordable anyhow. So with our cable subscribers,
it's a necessary evil.
What's that, Bill?
It's a necessary evil. I dealt with them. Well, you've dealt with them a couple of times, I think.
Right.
But this is just sign the times.
Right. Okay. Anyone else have any other questions of Nahom? Again, I'd like to thank Nahom and his group that helped me in negotiating this and keep those spreadsheets updated. Those things were changing about every other day until we got it hammered out. So thank you, Nahom. Good work.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Next thing we have, it's part of the loan agreement for our KIA, Kentucky Infrastructure Authority loan agreement. We have to pass a resolution as part of this loan agreement. These funds are part of the loan. 1.472 million is for the improvements to our American Greetings pump station, our Coleman's Crossing pump station, and our Royal Crest pump station. That's the one behind Hometown Pizza there, right off 245 near Hometown Pizza. That's the one we identify as Royal Crest. So there's 3 pump stations and major upgrades having to be done to that. So I would like to, if I could, ask for one of the council members to introduce resolution R 2021-01, our first one of the year. If I could get someone to introduce that, and we would have Audrey read the resolution.
Mayor, I'd be happy to introduce the resolution. I'd like to introduce resolution B 2021-01, which is a resolution approving and authorizing an assistance agreement between the city of Bardstown, Kentucky and Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. And would like to ask our city attorney, Audrey Hayden, to read it in full, please.
Thank you, Councilman. Resolution R 2021-01, a resolution approving and authorizing an assistance agreement between the city of Bardstown, Kentucky and the Kentucky Infrastructure provide up to $1,472,400 of loan funds for project number B20-005. Whereas the City Council of the City of Bardstown, Kentucky has previously determined that it is in the public interest to acquire and construct certain facilities and improvements, the project, to the City of Bardstown's wastewater system. And whereas the City of Bardstown has made application to the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, the authority, for the purpose of providing monies to construct the project. And whereas in order to obtain such monies, the City of Bardstown is required to enter into an assistance agreement with the authority. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Bardstown, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that the City Council hereby approves and authorizes the assistance agreement between the City of Bardstown and the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority regarding project number B20-005, substantially in the form on file, to provide the necessary financing to the City of Bardstown for the project. Section 2, that the mayor and the city clerk of the City of Bardstown be and hereby are authorized, directed, and empowered to execute necessary documents or agreements and to otherwise act on behalf of the City of Bardstown to effect such financing. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect at the earliest time provided by law.
All right, thank you, Audrey. Now I would ask for a motion to approve resolution R 2021-01 as part of our Kentucky Infrastructure Authority loan agreement for, has to do with our loan of $1.472, $400 loans for the improvements of this sewer pump station infrastructure.
So move, Mayor.
We have a motion by Councilman Williams. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Second by Councilwoman Hart. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion- Okay, excuse me, all opposed, same sign. All right, motion is carried. Thank you. Next item is any of the council members have anything to bring before the council this evening? All right. Then we'll move on then. Thank you. We have a cemetery deed for William Maddox, purchase of one grave site that we can approve by unanimous consent. And then as far as the mayor's update, I don't have anything other than to just say that in addition to some of our discussion on our current financial status in regards to our budget at midterm, we will be talking about, I've asked the council members as well as the department heads to submit goals that they would have or projects that they'd like to see either get started in the planning process or to get started in full over the next 2 years. So we're compiling that list right now, and I will be highlighting the major ones that have gotten the most attention from the council members and also the various department heads. So these will just be goals. It won't take me near as long to go over the goals as it did to cover the accomplishments, because this is just the planning part of getting our ducks in a line on what we feel are some of the most important projects to be taking on here in 2021 and 2022. So we'll be announcing that at our next meeting. That said, then we, as I announced earlier, we will be, I need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810-1C, which are discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of a public agency. And I get a motion to go out of regular session and go into executive session.
So move, Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilman Buckman. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Hibbs. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I would tell the media we are going to go into executive session. I don't expect it to take very long, but I think that the council may take action when we come out of this executive session. I'll just make that announcement for the media and anyone else on this call or on this Zoom meeting.